Hi, folks. I wanted to share a few questions with you, sort of themes from recent posts, but also, I suppose, conversations and some research over the last few weeks have sort of brought this set of questions to mind. I'm not necessarily going to try and answer them because I don't think there's answer available yet, but I'm really interested to know whether you think these are sort of sensible or relevant to the digital learning market at the moment. So it's this theme of, how will L&D pay for outcomes rather than inputs, or fund outcomes perhaps rather than inputs, depending on where you are in that sort of commercial equation. So this builds on the idea of moving from design and delivery to impact. That quest for impact in form of skills development, closure of skills gaps, performance improvement, confidence, capability, etc. Behavior change increasingly as well. The idea that the value should be correctly be ascribed to those those impacts rather than the inputs to that impact. And obviously AI, generative AI in particular, threatening to undermine the value of the inputs that we tend to price and sort of I suppose transact around at the moment. But the digital learning market really is built on input models. So we have the SaaS license model to make learning systems available to users as one I guess commercial mechanism. How relevant is that to pursue outcomes? And is that a barrier, or does something need to change there? Similarly, for most of, I guess, the off-the-shelf learning market, is built to around a sort of subscription to and access to content in the form of a library or an aggregation of content resources. I guess similarly, sort of custom and bespoke projects, tend to be priced similarly as well, around sort of the price of the inputs and the cost of the inputs to get to the value, not really priced on the value itself. So how is this the right infrastructure now for these kind of impact or outcome based models? And actually, are we increasingly going to be really sort of paying for tokens, for large language model tokens in the future? Is that a different kind of pricing point or cost point for that kind of infrastructure? I was wondering as well. I had some interesting conversations about this sort of idea of a hybrid model emerging. So you have access to the right systems and tools, and access to the content or the experiences, and that's part of the pricing. But then is there some kind of impact or outcome premium? Maybe there's a certain saving or discount, for impact achieved, or some kind of extra tier of value. That is kind of unlocked through that premium. I think that's a really interesting thought. I think one of the related points to that, though, is how will businesses shift from funding learning as a sort of delivery function? So many learning teams are sort of funded and structured to manage, make accessible and distribute learning in the form of courses and content. So but does this need a sort of, if we're going to have that kind of impact premium, then we need sort of different mechanisms of measuring impact and value. And I think that becomes really fraught. A lot of the most clear sources of value from learning and development do tend to be in terms of efficiency. So hours saved, time saved for learners, time saved for tutors assessing, etc. I don't want to belittle that efficiency benefit. I think it's hugely important, and I think actually that's it's kind of revolutionary at the moment as well. Anyway, so there's a series of questions. So how might we fund impact? How might we fund value rather than the inputs that we rely on to achieve that value? It feels like there's some sort of tension emerging here. Perhaps this is just my own sort of fretful mind. I'm interested to know, is it does it seem like a sort of a fruitful line of inquiry? Is this coming up in your conversations? Are these relevant questions for you as you consider sort of managing your resources towards outcomes rather than inputs? Keen to know your thoughts. Thanks.